Hi, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the Rap Currents podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Noah Agdis.
And I'm Nate Fisher.
And in today's episode, we're going to have three segments. The first, where we talk about just current events that have happened in rap music. The second being a discussion of the recent Grammys that happened last weekend. And third, just a quick discussion of some of the albums that we've been listening to, some of the new albums we've been listening to since the start of 2019. So let's get into some of these current events. Where do you want to start, Nate?
Let's talk about 21 Savage because it seems like it's a very pertinent issue. Everyone's talking about 21 Savage. It's political, and it kind of propels 21's career into a media stardom that like he hasn't ever experienced before. Like 21's been famous for songs and stuff, but like this is a new type
really
of fame.
Brought him to a new demographic in terms of like Good Morning America interview.
Oh yeah.
So just in terms, I just want to set kind of the
scene,
factual basis for this. So he was arrested February 3rd by ICE for having overstayed his visa.
Yeah.
He was brought to the U.S. at age 7 from Britain, and in 2006, his parents failed to renew his visa.
Which, by the way, I think everyone thought that he came here at like age 14.
Well, I think that ICE, when they put out the report,
they said that
he had come when he was like 14.
Which is not true.
Which didn't make sense.
It also would have completely destroyed his credibility and his origin story and everything like that.
Yeah. So in 2017, he applied for a U visa, which is for victims of a crime in the U.S., and who have suffered a physical and or mental injury as a result of the crime. I think this crime was, I would assume, gang violence or shooting of some sort.
Right. And, there's been this whole legal battle for his... the public doesn't really know what's going on. He was supposed to be at the Grammys. His family wasn't allowed to be at the Grammys. Like, it's been this whole kind of incognito battle between ICE and 21 Savage. And, now we're hearing that Jay-Z has hired a legal team for him, which is great.
And this also isn't the first time that Jay-Z has really stepped up and put his money where his mouth is in terms of also hiring that legal team for Meek Mill. I think Lil Wayne at some point said that he paid Lil Wayne's taxes, which is,
so funny,
so awesome for Jay-Z to obviously step up like that.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 or 3 days ago, 21 was released on a $100,000 bond, and he still may be at risk of deportation, which is pretty nuts considering, he is very much like these other dreamers who were brought to the U.S. at a very young age, doesn't know anything else. I think in the interview he was talking about how he, like when the government came to him and started talking about his visa, he didn't even know that he needed a visa.
Yeah.
And so...
Which, it's hard to blame someone about that, Like, yes, he should know, but at the same time, like, I think his management should probably know.
Yeah.
Like, his management, unless he didn't tell them, but I'm assuming they knew because I remember meeting someone about last summer who, we were just talking about whatever, we're talking about Atlanta, and he had mentioned that he knew 21, and he had mentioned that he's like, 21 came here when he was 7 from England. And I was like, I didn't know that. And I hadn't thought about that. It didn't change my view of him. But now clearly it's pertinent. And also 21 also he did turn himself in for the felony warrant that was out for his arrest. I believe it was for the loaded gun that they found. So he had a warrant out for his arrest separate from the ICE investigation. And he just recently turned himself in on that one.
The whole situation is really crazy. There's under no circumstances would I ever wish for someone to have gone through that.
It's awful.
This is just the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And the story's going to unfold and we'll see what happens.
Well, first of all, I think as much as this is terrible, I think this is good publicity for him. In the end, it is good publicity. Especially if it works out in his favor. If it doesn't, obviously that's terrible. And like, I am excited to imagine a world where 21 Savage is based in England. I think that would be just crazy. Like, I think that would be so interesting.
I saw there were a lot of people who
There
were
were a lot of
talking
memes.
about, well, yeah, of course there were a lot of memes, and the memes were obviously funny, but I saw someone tweeted out, like, this makes 21 Savage, like, the best British rapper ever.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. But yeah, we'll see how this unfolds, and
Keep you updated.
we'll keep you updated. Next, Chance the Rapper, new album dropping in July. We have seen so many rumors about this album potentially releasing, whether it be his collaborating with Kanye on Good Ass Job, or Kanye coming to Chicago to work on production for whatever this new project is. Chance announced it in an Instagram post where he was just talking about how great his life has been, the success of his open mic that's been happening in Chicago, talking about some of his political ventures that he's been participating in Chicago. And then at the very
a little MIA recently from hip hop, and that's partially because he got engaged or married
in the process of organizing like the wedding.
Yeah.
But then, posted that something's coming out in July.
We're excited.
So I'm very excited. I think Coloring Book is his best project to date. I'm excited to see how he pushes the envelope forward with this new project.
I think Acid Rap is better.
Which is a very, like, that's a common.
Yeah. But I still love Coloring Book, no doubt.
Yeah, of course.
I just like Coloring Book is so not Christian, but it's just like, obviously it's Christian, but it's just so
it's
like
very soulful, it's very spiritual.
Yeah, but it's very vanilla to me compared to Acid Rap. Acid Rap is like a little more dark and a little bit more vulnerable emotionally, and like Coloring Book is just like,
it's also a bit more raw. It's more raw.
It's more raw.
It's a bit more exposed.
The thing is, he'll never go back to that sound, which is, I get it, I understand, he's evolved. Either way, I'm very excited for July, for sure. It's gonna be great.
Next item, So Far Gone, now on streaming services. Drake's third mixtape, uploaded to streaming services around its 10th year reunion. This was his third mixtape, and it boasts some features from Lil Wayne, Omarion, Bun B, Trey Songz, among others.
This was really the thing that put Drake on the map. Like, people heard this and was just like, this is really sick. I think this was a lot of people when they were active in 2009, like, this was their first interaction with Drake.
As far as breaking from the underground to, like, the first level of mainstream success. Because then, obviously, when... I don't even remember the name of his first album.
Best I Ever Had was his breakout.
Right, Best I Ever Had was his breakout.
I remember hearing that. I remember hearing that on the radio. Being like, this is a great song.
And this is very much...
And then,
this mixtape is very much more singing Drake, a lot more melodies, a lot more. He definitely sounds more immature on this project than anything else. But I mean, it was 10 years ago.
People still hail this as like one of the best mixtapes ever.
Which is, I mean, a lot of people love this.
Yeah, and I love it. I'm one of those people. I literally love this mixtape. Like, November 18th, I think, is obviously the best song. I think people agree on that one. I love Bria's interlude. I love Houston, Atlanta, Vegas. Like, I love Let's Call It Off. Like, it really is a special Drake period that we don't see a lot of, because Thank Me Later. Am I getting that name right?
From his first album?
Yeah. It's Thank Me Later. It is. Thank Me Later, like, definitely was a different type of Drake, and I think it was less well received than So Far Gone. I think it was a little disappointing.
Yeah, Thank Me Later.
Yeah, it was a little disappointing. Drake is a whole nother conversation, but I think it's really cool that they kind of made this whole release around Drake and his, re-release of this kind of iconic project in his career, and it's a lot of nostalgia for Drake and for things like that. But
not to mention how much more money he is going to be making off of just like having another project release, because obviously the only money that he would have made off of that project would have been off of touring with those songs.
Yeah, but he wouldn't do like a So Far Gone
and he wouldn't do a So Far Gone tour now.
Yeah.
But now that it's on these streaming services, I mean, it's just like capitalizing extra on what already made him successful. And it's not like Drake needs any more money, you know what I mean?
But I was thinking about this morning, is Drake's whole like strategy with his career is just be consistent. Like, don't go away for 2 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of rappers, that works. Kendrick, Cole, it works for them. to go away for 2 years. Drake is like, nah, fam, I'm going to be in the booth for 6 months and then we'll release a project. And if it's not a project, it's a TV show. And if it's not a TV show, it's a restaurant. And if it's not, like, he
It's a
always
playlist,
stays in the,
or
he
it's a
always
mixtape.
stays, yes, he always stays, or it's a collab album. Like, he always stays in the news no matter what he's
always
doing.
relevant.
And that's honestly a smart strategy. It's not the only strategy that works, but it's one of them that does work. Clearly works for him because people, like, he hadn't released anything since, he hadn't been doing anything since Scorpion. He went on tour and now he's released another thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for Drake.
Good for Drake.
Next, in kind of interesting news, Kanye West is being sued by the family of the girl he sampled in the Ultralight Beam song, the young girl praying. Apparently, Kanye cleared it through her biological parents and not her proper legal guardians, which were her adoptive parents. The lawsuit also claims that Kanye failed to send over a licensing agreement or payment agreement for the song and the use of her likeness.
Wow.
This is not that unusual for people who have been paying attention to Kanye West.
Yeah.
He is known to not clear samples properly and to just kind of rely on his fame and his success to just kind of get his way with using samples and not having to pay the proper money for them. This doesn't feel like as egregious of an example because he may have just not done his due diligence and research that she had adoptive parents.
But yeah, I think Kanye, he always does this in terms of sampling. Like, he won't get a sample clear, and then he'll, like, either, underground, like, unbeknownst to us, regular people buy the sample, whatever, or he'll do some grand gesture of, like, he'll get, like, pictures taken of him and someone. Like, I feel like he's the type of guy to get, like, to give this girl, like, her licensing fee plus like $100,000 and make like a big thing. Like, TMZ is like, has a video of like Kanye giving like a briefcase. Like, he's one of those people to
making it a publicity thing,
a publicity
as opposed
thing,
to
and a
like
grand
just
gesture.
actually taking care of it in the first place.
Yeah, and again, I agree with you. It's like, it's probably more of a laziness thing than anything else. And he just was like, all right, fuck it, we'll just take it. And like, yeah, I went to the biological parents. Like, it's just a little legal mishap that, like, not a big deal.
Yeah. Next, Offset album release date for February 22nd, and he released the video for Red Room, the single that was supposed to have been released as a first single. When I went onto Apple Music to stream it, it said it was posted at November 30th, 2018.
Well, I think that's because they were probably prepping it, and then the whole Cardi B thing happened.
Right.
So I think, the goal was to...
The whole Cardi B thing being his cheating.
The cheating and the cheating scandal that happened. And I think their goal was quality control. His label basically was like, look, we're going to rule 2018, or we're going to rule fourth quarter 2018. We're releasing all these albums, including Offsets. And Offsets was the last one they were supposed to release.
Because they released Quavo's and then Takeoffs.
Right.
And then Offset was rumored to be releasing, I think it was the week of December 15th.
Yeah. And so that would have been perfect 2 weeks before the single was released. And then 2 weeks later, the album was released. And so... basically, like, that whole thing happened with Cardi, and they were like, you know what? Let's push this album. Offset needs it, blah, blah, blah. It also, like, did help Offset's general public image, certainly in a negative way in terms of sentiment, but in terms of, like, volume of people understanding who he is.
But it was also, I think, waiting till post Grammys was a really good idea, and especially, and we'll get into this a bit later with Cardi having won album of the year. But there were all these videos, I think the Grammys when she was performing panned to Offset, and he kind of did like a tongue out of his mouth, like
that's what
and so I mean, I thought it was cute. You could see the look in his eyes where he's like, damn, I fucked up, I'm not gonna let this shit go.
Yeah, totally.
Good for Offset. I'm excited to see the album. I really liked Red Room, especially coupled with the video. I don't know if you've had a chance.
I did.
Yeah, the video was
so cool.
Really, really cool. It was just, it kind of went through.
It started in this red room, but it's not like so a red room. I think has connotation like sexual connotations as like a room where like BDSM happens. But this red room is literally just a red like cement room almost, and there was like
it felt very spiritual and soulful.
yeah, and there was
almost.
a cross, and then Offset was there shirtless, and it was this kind of like pan shot of him backward, and then like
And then it was kind of him tracking the course of his life and some of the hardships. And
but the way the video was directed was that it like basically just it was all like quote unquote one shot. So it would be like the red room, and the camera would move to the right.
It was consistently panning throughout the entire video.
Yeah, exactly.
Really cool artistic direction.
Yeah.
Excited to see the album. Last two news items. Danny Brown had his most recent media appearance. I think his only media appearance that he's had in a while since the release of Atrocity Exhibition, other than just like tweeting,
right,
on Your Mom's House podcast. Big fan of Your Mom's House podcast. In it, he talked about what has been taking him so long to kind of come out with a new project, and he mentioned that he had dental surgery, and that typically when you go to dental surgery, it's not that big of an ordeal, but I guess there were some complications with his surgery, and he wasn't able to kind of rap the way he wanted to. He no longer has that characteristic kind of gap in the teeth that he had. He looks healthy and happy and looks a lot better than he did. I'll definitely say that much.
Right. Good for him.
But it looked like he was in good spirits. He mentioned that he finished the new album that he's going to be releasing. No word on when it's going to be released yet, though.
I mean, I'm sure that he's going to try to probably build a little more buzz.
Right. There's going to be some more marketing. And
Atrocity Exhibition, his last album released in September of 2016, which is so long ago.
Was it
September 27, 2016.
Damn.
So long ago. And, you know, I think people have definitely been missing him, but I think he also is one of those rappers that takes years.
Time with their projects. And he also talked about the kind of evolving landscape of the music industry and how he personally prefers to not record on Pro Tools, which I thought was really interesting. And how and you can kind of hear with the sound of Atrocity Exhibition that he's been heading in that more analog experimental direction.
Kind of like Earl.
Exactly. And
yeah,
you know, Atrocity Exhibition was one of my favorite albums from that year.
It was awesome.
And
it's really crazy. Scary.
I can't wait to see what publicity, what marketing, how the rollout of this album is going to unfold.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
And then our last current news event, the full transcript of Tekashi 6ix9ine's guilty plea deal in court was released, and wow.
Yeah, wow.
He pled guilty to all 9 counts of various crimes that he committed in association with his gang. I don't remember the exact name.
Trey something.
There's a full name that they refer to in the court documents. But anyway, in the file that was leaked, he talks about kind of his struggles earlier in life, or he's questioned about kind of his struggles earlier in life. And I mean, I really do feel bad for him in terms of like growing up under the circumstances that he did. Yeah. Obviously, he's a victim of some sort of abuse and violence and the environment that he was raised in. I obviously do not feel any pity regarding the crimes that he committed, because some of that stuff that he did is absolutely awful, whether it be like conspiracy for murder, distribution of heroin and fentanyl, a bunch of that stuff.
It's crazy.
Which is, not good.
Yeah.
In it, the judge mentioned that the minimum sentencing, if the prosecution was to go through it, was something like 47 years, which is a long ass time. I don't think that he's going to get 47 years, especially since he's cooperating so well.
He is cooperating.
In some medium, his girlfriend mentioned that he's not going to get any time because he's cooperating so thoroughly,
that's not.
I really doubt.
No, he will surely get jail time. Like, I'm not any legal expert, but like, there's almost no doubt in my mind.
There's no way he gets away with this like completely clean.
Yeah, like he'll like, if I had to guess, if someone was making a bet, I'd say probably get like 20 years.
Which is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, 20 years. It's like he'll be gone in 20 years, right? He'll be gone. He'll be alive, but like he will be irrelevant in 20 years.
In terms of music, definitely.
Although I can see him making like a crazy.
Yeah, he may make some sort of crazy comeback. And he's 22 years old.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
so young.
Yeah.
Sorry about that little break. We were having some minor technical difficulties. So that concludes the end of our current events discussion. Now we're going to move on to our discussion of the Grammys. So we're not going to focus on any of the performances. We're just going to focus on the awards,
right?
And we're only going to focus on the awards that are relevant to our genre matter on the Rap Currents podcast,
right?
So let's go into the first category, being the rap category. So for best rap performance, we have a tie.
A tie, which is I didn't know could happen at all.
Yeah.
But it is between King's Dead, which features Kendrick Lamar, Future, and James Blake, and it's by J-Rock originally, and Bubblin by Anderson .Paak.
Which I was so happy to see Anderson .Paak win something.
Yeah.
I'm a little upset that it happened in the way that it did.
Yeah.
With him having to kind of share the award.
Yeah.
I personally prefer Bubblin as a song.
If you're comparing the two, I agree. I think also Anderson deserves it.
Yeah.
You know. But at the same time, I loved that J-Rock kind of killed the Grammys this year.
What else did he...
I think he won King's Dead. It was another one or something. Or maybe Win. I could have sworn he won.
I think Win was nominated for
really?
Rap Song, but
okay.
I don't think it. I don't think it.
Well, King's Dead. Okay, I think he was nominated like 3 times. I think
he was nominated a couple times for King's Dead,
which is great.
Which is good for J-Rock.
Good for
He's
J-Rock.
a vet in the game.
Yeah, he deserves.
Good for him to get some recognition.
Yes.
The other nominees in that category were Be Careful, Cardi B, Nice for What, Drake, and Sicko Mode.
Can we also describe what best rap performance is as opposed to rap song and opposed to rap? Whatever.
Yeah. So the two categories that are typically for songs are performance and song. So performance being the actual performance of the song by the artist in the actual recording. Whereas whenever you see a category for song, it's for the songwriting itself.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that distinction. So when they see like best record of the year versus best song of the year, they're like, what is the difference there?
Right.
It's songwriting versus general production
of the song,
mixing, engineering, recording.
Right.
The masters as opposed to the publishing per se.
Yeah.
So then best rap song performance, winner, This Is America, Childish Gambino.
Yeah.
I love This Is America.
Yeah.
I think obviously it's more impactful with the music video.
Yes.
But I think that it's just as good of a song without the music video. A lot of people disagree with that and think that it's only relevant because of the music video.
Oh, okay. Only relevant or only good? Because I think it wouldn't have been as relevant without the music video.
I agree with that.
Right?
I agree with it wouldn't have been as relevant without the music video. But
I think it's still as a standalone song awesome, and I think its prominence and its potency holds true without the video. Either way. But again, I think it got a lot of popularity because of that crazy video.
Right. And it also won, I think, best music video at the Grammys.
It took. I think it took on 3 Grammys.
So it won.
It won best video,
best rap song performance, best video,
and
record
of the year,
and song of the year.
Yeah.
First time a rap song has ever won.
Yeah. Huge
rap song of the year and record of the year. So, big ups to Childish Gambino.
Yeah. God.
Couldn't be more deserving of it.
Yeah.
His other nominees in the best rap song performance category. You want to list those off, Nate?
Yeah. Pretty Little Fears by Black and J. Cole. I like this song a lot. People also really like the song. This is like Black's kind of like single off his album.
It's the biggest song off the album.
It's the biggest song off the album, and the video. I actually did not love the video. I thought it was a super average video, but It's cool to see Black and J. Cole collaborate. I think they're kind of like in similar categories in terms of sound. And I like this song a lot. Didn't think it was necessarily deserving of a Grammy. Like I knew this wouldn't win.
Right.
But it was a good nod. Of the other songs, I think All the Stars would be my like next up.
Would be your next pick. So my next pick would have been the remaining ones being All the Stars, Kendrick Lamar says a Rockstar, Post Malone and 21, and Like I Do, Christina Aguilera and Gold Link. My next pick would have been Rockstar. I love Rockstar as a single.
Yeah. I mean, Rockstar is amazing.
Yeah.
Let's not beat her on that. I felt like maybe my perception of it was muddied by its popularity and like.
Yeah, that certainly did take. I mean, just in terms of some basic girls kind of touting that.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, I get that. Best rap song, winner, God's Plan.
Right.
So just remember, this is a songwriter specific award. The other nominees that it was up against were King's Dead, Lucky You, which is Eminem featuring Joyner Lucas, Sicko Mode, and Win by J-Rock. Yeah. I don't think that God's Plan is the best written song out of all of these.
No.
If I were to choose a winner, I'd probably choose Sicko Mode.
Yeah, I would too. But
and I think maybe it's important to discuss kind of Drake's speech that he gave off. You want to
very political, very not political.
Well, political within the music industry.
Political in music. So basically, Drake said, "Look, you don't need a Grammy. If you're an artist and you do great things, Grammys do not validate you." And he was like, as he started talking about that, he got out kind of his first sentence or two, and then they cut him off.
Yeah. So he got a Grammy, and then the second, I mean, it wasn't the first Grammy he's ever gotten.
Yeah.
Got the Grammy, got up there, and basically just said, if you have fans coming out here in the sleet, in the snow, in the rain, spending their hard-earned cash,
to
come and see you, pay for your tours, pay for your merch,
then you are validated.
Streaming your music, this is an opinion. I think he said this is an opinion-based sport, which is entirely what it is.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Grammys don't validate you. And I think when I heard this, he was talking to Travis. That's what I think he was talking to, because Travis, I remember last year, Birds didn't even get nominated for Grammys.
Yeah. And
this year, Astroworld obviously did pretty well, but obviously didn't win a Grammy. So I think he was kind of speaking to Travis and being like, yo, man, everyone knows Travis is huge and he has a huge fan base and he is awesome with everything he does.
All that said, I think that if you really want to make that statement, don't submit your project to the Grammys.
Oh yeah, totally. If you really I'm with that.
If you really do feel that way, then then why? So, because it's not like the Grammys go. You have to submit your music to the Grammy committee in order for it to be considered for a nomination.
Yeah.
And a lot of people last year, when Blonde wasn't nominated for anything, were upset and were like, "What the hell? Frank should have been nominated." Frank didn't submit his album to the Grammys because
he didn't care.
He didn't care.
That's awesome.
Which is such a power move and such a flex.
Such a Frank thing to do.
Which is such a Frank Ocean thing to do. But that said, the Grammys are the most prestigious award you can win in music.
Yes. But they are declining. They are declining.
Yeah.
I think they're declining in potency, and people will always regard them as holding true, but every year their credibility goes down and goes down and go down. It's because they're not in touch with what's going on. They're always 2 years late to what's going on.
And I think this is particularly potent when we talk about this next category, which is Best Rap Album.
Yeah.
Winner went to Invasion of Privacy. I liked Invasion of Privacy.
Sure.
It was, a very decent project coming from Cardi B.
Right.
It had the most pop crossover. It had elements of kind of Latin trap, production from a lot of different people, Jay White, I think that's the only producer that I explicitly know on the project, but I'm sure she had
I think she's a Metro track.
a whole team of people on there.
Yeah.
Features from Chance and SZA and Bad Bunny.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, hugely successful album.
And
that's the thing.
I think what people tend to get muddied is their criticism of that award being given is not criticism of Cardi B, because it's not her fault that she won. She put out the best project that she wanted to, and she had extreme commercial success.
I just don't think she deserved it. And again, it's not her fault.
It's also specifically in reference to this, I went and looked up how they calculate.
Yeah, how do they calculate it?
So in terms of the specifics of how they calculate like who is awarded, there was basically no information available. But what it said is that all of the people who are a part of the kind of voting process, they are limited to 15 categories of voting. So up to 15, but you can vote. I think you have to vote for the general field and for your genre submission, but that other than that, you can vote in up to 15 different categories, and they encourage you to not vote in areas where you're not an expert.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, smart, and I didn't realize that they do it. That said, I'm sure that like if I was a person voting, as someone who's passionate about music, I would want to vote for whoever it was that I thought was the best.
Yeah.
And so it wouldn't surprise me if there are people who know nothing about rap music who really liked Cardi B and only heard Cardi B's album, who voted for her in that category because of how much they liked her and didn't do their due diligence in listening to, the rappers' rap albums in this category, those being Victory Lap by Nipsey Hussle and Daytona by Pusha T.
Yeah.
I was not surprised at all.
If I had to bet, I would have said she would have won. But that's
my bet would have been on Astroworld.
I would have said that Invasion of Privacy would have won, and if that wouldn't have won, then I would have bet Astroworld as well.
Yeah.
But we don't know the runner-ups. I really disagree with this. I think people are also wrong for giving Cardi B shit. Again, it's not her fault that she won, right? It's not.
And I couldn't be happier for her.
Of course. And I'm really happy for her. I just think that like the Grammys themselves made a wrong decision.
Like the second that they awarded
the heist
over
Good
Kid Mad City, was an atrocity.
An atrocity. And that again, every year their credibility with hip hop is the forward push, is the forward moving genre right now. Hip hop is at the forefront, and the fact is that like if you're not in tune with hip hop, you're not in tune with music, right? You're not in tune with
the industry as it stands at all.
Yeah. So this once again proves that they're not in tune with hip hop at all.
Yeah. That said, couldn't be happier for Cardi B.
Of course. Again, people are wrong for giving her shit. Like they should be giving the Grammy shit. That's what it should be. And she released that video. She was really kind of defending herself. She was really upset, and she was like, "Look, man,
of course." And she'd be reasonably upset. She worked so hard to get that out, and she kind of talked about how they awarded it to her because of the narrative and the success. And in her speech, she kind of talked about how she had 3 albums done when she had 3 songs done when she found out she was pregnant. And then she had to rush to get the album finished because she wanted to shoot the music videos before she started showing.
Yeah.
And, I have there's no way that I could relate to that. And I can't imagine how difficult that must have been on her. And I'm glad that she got recognition.
Yeah, totally.
I'm a little upset that, Daytona didn't win.
Yeah.
That was obviously the
again, this was my least favorite album of the bunch.
Yeah.
I liked every single album more. If I had to rank them, if we're going down that, if I had to rank them, I would say number 1 Daytona, number 2 Victory Lap, number 3 Astroworld, number 4 Swimming.
Just scoot your phone. Yeah, I agree. Completely agree.
So yeah, moving on to R&B and urban contemporary categories. So best R&B performance. So again, performance versus song. Like, let's keep the
Right. So
distinction.
for the best R&B performance, the winner was Best Part, her featuring Daniel Caesar. It's listed as her featuring Daniel Caesar. It was
Isn't
on
it?
Daniel Caesar's album, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I was confused with that. Regardless, they both get a Grammy.
Yeah.
Very happy for both of them. Her was nominated for a lot. They loved her.
Yeah. They,
I have not done my enough
haven't
listening of her to really have any comment, but
I haven't either, and that's unfortunate.
I'm happy for her, and let's move on to the next one. So, best R&B song, winner, Boo'd Up, LMA.
Could have guessed this one.
Yeah, not super surprised. This was a huge song last year. LMA had a big come up. Very happy to see her win something.
I love this
especially
song
in her first
too.
year.
I love this
it's
song.
It's super catchy. It's
It's
melodies
not.
are super.
It's also it sticks to her sound. I mean, this is consistent with her sound. It wasn't like she was straying away.
Yeah.
Also, DJ Mustard produced the song, which is awesome.
I did not know that.
DJ Mustard is one of the like quote unquote founders of LMA.
I didn't
She
know
was
that.
he was one of the first people that propelled her, and then he produced this song. You can kind of hear it with the like you can it sounds West Coasty,
Yeah.
you know. So shout out to Mustard on that one because that man's been who knows where for the past 5 years.
Right. Then best urban contemporary album winner went to Everything Is Love by the Carters.
Yeah.
I think the only other album that I think really had competition against this was Miguel's War and Leisure. I didn't listen to it, so I don't really have anything to say about it.
I listened to both. I liked War and Leisure a lot, but it didn't have the like cultural relevancy that Everything Is Love had. I think also just being affiliated, like the fact that it's a collaboration now between Jay-Z and Beyonce, like the Grammys almost had to give it to them, you know, like
yeah. And then I was kind of every year I see urban contemporary, and I don't really know how it's defined, so I went and looked, and it's defined on the website as for albums containing at least 51% playing time of newly recorded contemporary vocal tracks derivative of R&B, which is super vague.
Yeah.
But I mean, Frank won it for Channel Orange the 1 year.
Okay.
Channel Orange is very much derivative of
Yeah,
R&B.
I mean, it sounds like it's basically an album that is at its core R&B, but contains elements of pop, hip hop,
whatever other crossover
other
you may
things.
want to.
But it's at its core, it's like spin off R&B.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then last best R&B album winner, her, again, not a surprise. She was nominated for Album of the Year. You know, good for her.
Good for her.
Now on to the general field category. So for Record of the Year, again, winner, This Is America, Childish Gambino. The other nominees that it was up against.
So many eight nominees.
Well, I think for these general field, they really like.
Yeah, they really like to spread it out.
Really
but
like
I'm
to
just
pack it in.
that's crazy. 8 nominees is a lot. It feels like it's definitely they added this year.
Yeah.
So
you want to read off some of the?
Yeah. So I like it by Cardi B and Bad Bunny. Everyone knows that song. It's a very like hoppy, like
super catchy song.
Yeah, great song. The Joke by Brandy Carlisle. Do you know that?
I think it's I don't know if it's. I don't think it's country. Honestly, I don't know anything about it.
All right.
I just know that Brandy Carlisle also was getting a lot of love.
Shout out.
Nomination.
Right. God's Plan by Drake. Obviously, we know that one. Shallow. Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. I don't know if you saw A Star Is Born, but oh my God, this song was awesome. Like this is
I
a
didn't
perfect
see
example.
it. I have no.
This is a perfect example of a song in a movie that's just like when you hear it in the movie, you're like, oh, this is the best song ever. Because the way this scene kind of works is like they're up on. So Bradley, the premise is Bradley Cooper, this kind of aging rock star, who is definitely like big enough to play, you know, definitely stadiums. Meets this girl, Lady Gaga, on tour, is an undiscovered singer, and they like write a song. Like she writes a song and gives it to him, and he finishes it unbeknownst to her. And then later on in the movie, he invites her on tour, and she comes out on stage and sings this song with him. But she's like really nervous. He's just like obviously like, you know, thousands of people. And it's this song, and it just is a great moment in the movie. And then, you know, of course, it got major popularity post movie, but awesome song. I love this song. I honestly like think it could have been a good contender for the actual Record of the Year. Then we have All the Stars by Kendrick Lamar and SZA. Again, huge song. A lot of these were very popular on the radio, which I'm not saying like necessarily correlates, but it
definitely has to have had commercial success
Yeah.
in order to make it into the general field category.
Absolutely.
Then Rockstar, great song, we obviously know. And then The Middle by Zedd, Maren Morris, and Gray. I can tolerate The Middle. It's catchy.
Yeah, it's catchy.
It's cool.
It's a little poppy for me, but it's catchy. It's
yeah.
good.
Song of the Year winner, This Is America, Childish Gambino. Again, I don't want to really spend too much time talking about this.
We've talked about it a lot.
Just want to mention the other nominees that it was up against. All the Stars, again, Boot Up, God's Plan, In My Blood by Shawn Mendes, The Joke, Brandi Carlile, The Middle, and Shallow.
Yeah. A lot of the same. A lot of crossovers.
A lot of the same.
Other categories and stuff.
Best New Artist, winner, Dua Lipa. I like what I've heard from Dua Lipa so far. It's obviously in the kind of dance electronic pop area sphere. In terms of who I was personally rooting for, I was rooting for Georgia Smith.
Yes.
Which, I mean, would have been awesome. It's sad that she didn't win, but Dua Lipa, Best New Artist, they can be a little all over the place because I remember... one year it went to Bon Iver when he was not a super big commercial success. One year it went to Esmeralda Spalding and she was not a big commercial success. You know,
so sometimes it is commercial success, and I think this year, like,
it definitely
Dua Lipa clearly was, someone who's gotten a lot of that. Georgia, not as much. Like, Georgia's gotten a lot of like critical success, but not necessarily commercial.
Yeah. I'm so glad it didn't go to Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah, seriously.
Even though they won Best Rock Album. And I mean, I understood why it won Best Rock Album, but they're just Led Zeppelin.
Yeah,
so
of course.
Let's just move on.
Yeah.
Album of the Year, this is going to be the last category that we discuss.
Right.
It's in terms of, let's just list all the nominees.
Right.
You want to?
Yeah, Invasion of Privacy by Cardi B. By the Way, I Forgive You by Brandi Carlile. Again, repeating the trend there on giving her two graces. Scorpion by Drake. Her, self-titled. Beer Bongs and Bentleys by Post Malone. Dirty Computer by Janelle Monáe. And then the Black Panther soundtrack.
And then the winner.
Yeah.
Golden Hour by Casey Musgraves.
Hadn't listened to this album. I mean, it's country.
So I listened to a bit of it last night, kind of in preparation to talk about it.
Yeah.
There was not a single song on it that I disliked.
That you disliked?
There was nothing. I don't think I would really return to the album though, just because it's not particularly my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But
could you see why it won Album of the Year?
Once I listened to it, I completely understood why it won Album of the Year.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting.
It's first of all, the engineering and the mixing and in terms of like the technical aspects of the album were on point.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of how it was recorded and the sound was, the instrumentals are really minimal, but it's done in this very grandiose way.
Okay.
Her voice has a lot of pop crossover, but it still has that kind of country twang.
Right.
Her writing, I think, is solid. It's mostly just kind of guitar riffs. Well, not necessarily riffs, but kind of guitar melodies with some kind of light drumming, and then there's crossover between. She has kind of like a disco funk rhythm song, and but it's mostly just pop country crossover.
Yeah.
And it was very inoffensive to the ears. It was very pleasing to listen to.
Okay. All right, I'll check it out. I mean, obviously, one album of the year, like it can't be
that awful.
Yeah.
In terms of who I would have picked for this category, I would have loved to have seen Dirty Computer win.
Yeah.
And
Black Panther. I would have picked Black Panther. I loved Black Panther soundtrack. I think it like perfectly blended so many genres and so many moods and like so many upcoming acts. Like I think that was, if I could have bet on it, I would have picked that.
I just don't think it was cohesive enough, and it
Fair.
didn't. It was very rap centric, and I just don't think
they're gonna do
a rap album would have won.
Yeah.
Considering everyone votes in that category.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, so that concludes our Grammys discussion, and now we're going to move on to the last segment, which is some of the albums that we've been listening to since the start of 2019.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with some of the albums that Nate has been listening to specifically.
Yeah.
You want to talk about those too?
Sure. So I have been listening to Boogie's album, which is called Everything Is For Sale. Boogie is a Compton, California native
rap album.
Rap album, yes. Sorry, I should have. Yeah, Boogie. So he's a rapper. He's from Compton, and he kind of came on the scene, I think 2+ years ago with a song called "Oh My." And it's produced by Jahil Beats, and it just kind of had this like bouncy like rap. It was a little forgettable, but it was catchy enough that it got him some mainstream appeal. And he signed to Shady Records with Eminem, so that was something that was very big for him and a big selling point.
That's under Interscope.
Yeah, it's a subset of Interscope. It's like Eminem's own thing.
Right.
And you can kind of see why Eminem signed this man. He's extremely lyrical. He also, his demeanor, like Pitchfork did a review on him. They gave him I think he gave him an 8, which is a great review for this album, considering it's his debut. But basically, they compared him to like Mopey, but a Mopey that doesn't complain so much, but is more just like, and again, not someone that's so negative, but more so someone that's just really like introspective in the way that they take on worldly perspective. So if you listen to Boogie's album, again, he's not complaining. He has kind of all these different perspectives. They're all like relatively dark, but he really does deliver his album with some really potent lyrics, amazing production. I mean, just amazing production. He's managed by Love Renaissance, who's based out of Atlanta here, and they set him up with some amazing producers out in LA. It's very jazzy. It's very it's very what you said earlier about the album of the year winner. It's inoffensive to the year. It's very like orally pleasing.
Okay.
So
audibly pleasing.
Yeah. So I think you got to check out this album. I think it's definitely one of those hip hop albums of 2019 that's gonna just be setting the standards for the rest of the year. So I was very pleased with it. I was blown away too with how like a lot of none of the songs are cheap throwaway rap songs that try to get on the radio. Like the one song that got a lot of attention on this was the one with Eminem, where he talks about his critics and he compares these critics to like sheep and he's fucking them all or something like that. Something terrible. But yeah, highly recommend this album. Just Boogie, he killed it with this one. Big Crit's TDT. Big Crit's been releasing. He released, kind of his like marquee album.
Well, he released the double album.
I
mean,
late in 2018.
Late in 2018, a ton of critical acclaim on that album. I listened to it. It was that previous album, super southern sound.
Yeah.
I think it was almost entirely produced by him as well.
Yeah, which he always seems to do.
I didn't particularly enjoy that album just because I don't love the sound of that like really specific southern hip hop because it doesn't. Yeah. It seems really specifically niche to him.
Yeah,
and not. And
I think in the early 2010s, it was a more popular sound.
Definitely.
Anyway, with TDT, he kind of he doesn't sell out pop wise at all. He just kind of gets a little bit more palatable for the mainstream listener while still sticking to his roots. And that's the one thing. I think that's the main thing that I appreciate about this album is that he is very much himself. He's still Big Crit. He just doesn't he doesn't go so far into his own genre, and he does try to branch out into incorporating elements of poppiness and a little bit more bright flavors with the album. Obviously still maintains his lyricism, and I think it is different enough from the double album he released last year to the point of it being like, okay, this is something new, this is something different for Big Crit fans, for him to also expand his audience. So I liked both his albums. I think both of them are like really good for hip hop, health wise in general. And now, we can talk about some other albums that we've both been listening to, but you can go ahead and kick that off.
So we're going to talk about a non-rap album, but it's certainly a rap contributor. James Blake releasing Assume Form. I absolutely love this album. This is probably my favorite album of 2019 so far.
Yeah. I would honestly agree.
Features from Metro, Rosalia, Andre 3000, Travis Scott. He really came into his own as a songwriter here, I think, more than any other album. It seems like he really worked on his penmanship and kind of the condensing his message. Right. The album isn't as long as the previous album he had, which I think was The Color in Anything. And it's certainly a huge departure from the more electronic experimental roots that he had. And it kind of shifts more into that pop electronic crossover.
It's also less sad.
It's much more, I feel like it's melancholy, but it's a hopeful melancholy.
Yeah. So that's a better way of describing it. Yeah, I think like I had trouble. I knew The Color of Everything. The Color of Everything was an amazing album. I had a hard time listening to it because
it was long,
really long, and it was really like it got me so like sad, and that's okay, and that's okay. Albums do that, but I think at that point in my life I wasn't ready for a sad album, and so I listened to it like for a few weeks, but then I had stopped because it was so sad. But this was, again, you're right, a more hopeful sadness,
and I think this has a lot more replayability in terms of the tightness of some of the tracks.
Yeah.
I think that there's not a lot of up-tempo songs, but the up-tempo songs that it does have really give it the break from the kind of down-tempo, slower tracks. Like, I mean, those two tracks being the one with Moses Sumney,
yes,
with production from Metro, and the song with Andre 3000. Andre 3000's verse and that track as a whole is unbelievable.
I love it.
His bars are as sharp as ever. James Blake's singing is super on point. The production is really well rounded and bouncy and drum heavy. And Andre's vocals are laced kind of throughout the track in the background as well as in the forefront. The song's called Where's the Catch?
Yeah. When I heard this song, I thought back to the interview that Andre did. And the interview consisted of him basically being like, yeah, I'm not going to make any more new music because I feel like, these younger guys can outdo me. And I was like, what are you talking about? Seriously, what are you talking about? This song, his verse is crazy. It's ever more complex, fun, poetic than he's ever been. So I never know what he's talking about when he says, yeah, I don't want to compete with them. It would be like, Michael Jordan coming back to the NBA now. Like he didn't relate directly to that, but that's kind of the analogy he was giving. I don't see that.
Yeah.
I don't see it at all. I see it as like Michael Jordan 25 years ago coming back to the NBA now and being Michael Jordan in his prime now.
Right.
Like, I still think he could just murder it. And it's one of the top 5 most things that make me sad throughout the day is that Andre 3000 doesn't make consistent music.
Doesn't still release some regular stuff. In terms of some of my favorite songs from the album, I really like the song with Rosalia. Her vocals with James Blake are gorgeous. The way that they work together in the track is beautiful. James Blake singing in Spanish is also pretty solid. I was surprised at how good his Spanish sounded. I mean, I don't speak
He's literally
Spanish,
a British dude.
But yeah, I mean, he sounds really good on it. When I first heard the song with Travis, I really, really liked it. It's kind of lost a bit of its initial hold and excitement that it had on me because it's particularly subdued and it's a more laid-back thing. The vocal melody that Travis lays on it isn't particularly enthralling or compelling in any way. The rhythms and the drum section on it from Metro, I think, complement it well, but really don't aren't any attention grabbing in any way.
Right.
But it's still a good song to listen to. It's probably of the more underwhelming of the tracks on the album.
Yeah. But it's a good concept, getting them together.
Definitely. And obviously, I'm sure this was kind of like a, hey, James Blake, you work on Astroworld. Now let me kind of hop on your thing.
Right.
This is probably my second favorite album of James Blake's.
Yeah.
My favorite being his first self-titled, which was super out there electronically, experimentally.
Love this album.
But I still really love this album.
Yeah.
Can't complain. My favorite album of 2019 so far.
Yeah. But I do want to touch on one more thing, is that this didn't get the most critical acclaim. People liked it, but I think a lot of people were a little underwhelmed, a little bit. So I think that's something to note, because I feel like James Blake hasn't experienced a lot of like critical.
Well, he experienced a lot of critical acclaim with his earlier stuff.
No, I'm saying, sorry, he hasn't experienced a lot of critical negative reception.
Backlash.
Yeah, backlash is the word I'm looking for. Yeah.
And so with this one, it was kind of like a lukewarm reception.
Yeah, it was lukewarm. That was the perfect word.
Yeah. All right, next album, switching back into the rap lane, Future Hendrix presents The Wizard by Future.
I love this album.
This is my favorite album of his since DS2.
Mine as well. I love this album. The first time I listened to this album was running. I went on a run, and I was like kind of tired of my workout playlist, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna listen to Future's album, and I shuffled it, and it was so good, and it was so it makes me smile.
When I go to Future for an album, all I'm looking for is bangers.
Yep.
And
Atlanta.
Energizing Atlanta.
Yeah.
Kind of his slick talking. It's obviously the same content of kind of drugs, money, alcohol, weed.
Yeah, like he lives a rock star life, and we want to hear about it. And he does a really good job describing his rock star life in a way that's like not overused, cheesy.
It's not bogged down in the same way that I felt a lot of his projects post DS2 were.
Yeah.
Like Evol.
Yeah.
And
Evol was forgettable.
Even the self-titled Future album was like solid, but I mean, the only song that I really remember that anyone really remembers off of it is Mask Off.
Mm-hmm. Hendrix was interesting. I always thought Hendrix was really interesting because it was like kind of poppy and like kind of sweet sounding, which was it was a change of course for him. But I'm totally with you. This was his best album since
DS2 by far. In terms of the features on the album, not a lot. I mean, he never really does a lot of features on.
No, it was Travis, Thug, Gunna, Lil Baby. I want to say that's it.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I think the song with Travis is one of my least favorite songs on that album.
Yeah, I like that one. What's the chorus again? What's the chorus called?
I completely haven't listened to it.
I'm gonna look.
I think with and this happened also in the James Blake album with the Travis feature. It tends to become a Travis song with the main artist as a feature as opposed to the other way around.
Right.
And I feel like he used Travis in the most uninspiring, interesting way.
It was first off. I just like the chorus in that song. I forgot what it is, but it's something really funny.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Future really he outdid himself on this one.
He did. I would say that I was more than satisfied with this, and I was surprised with how good I thought it was and how much I enjoyed it. Most of all, that I didn't get bored with it, because that's the biggest thing that I worry about with a Future album, is that I would get bored with it, and I'm still not bored of it.
I'm not bored of it either. I'm going to the gym after this, and I'm planning on listening to it, and I'm excited for it too.
Yeah. Next, kind of going into the pop atmosphere.
Yeah.
Thank You Next by Ariana Grande. So obviously she had a ton of buzz. Hold on, I hear some sirens in the background. Let's just give it a sec.
Okay.
And we're back. Sorry about that. There were some police sirens going, so we just had to take a break to kind of let the audio clear out of the background. We were talking about Ariana Grande.
Yeah.
Obviously had a lot of buzz behind her from Sweetener, which was, I think, her biggest commercial album to date.
It was.
This is 6 months after Sweetener, so normally with a big pop artist like this, you don't see that kind of turnaround.
Yeah.
And this kind
She
of
capitalized on her like publicity fame, I feel like.
and this is, I mean, it would probably be my favorite album by her. I haven't done enough listening to Ariana Grande to really say anything, but I really thoroughly enjoyed Thank You Next. I think it's super catchy. I think it's a lot more introspective and vulnerable than a lot of her previous work. I think there's a lot of hip hop and rap influence, especially in the production, but even in some of her vocal delivery in the songs. I mean, most notably in Seven Rings, where she is actively rapping. And I know there's some controversy about that song. I don't really want to get into that.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy the project. Oh God, I think it's the sparkling water that I'm drinking. I'm just burping a lot.
Yeah.
She's really introspective. I think that the song variance is diverse enough where you don't get tired of listening to her voice. I think that a lot of the production is super bubbly.
Yeah.
And it suits her really well.
Yeah.
She's obviously has amazing vocal talent in terms of her range and her just like the beauty of her voice in itself. I think a lot of her writing is very on point. Obviously, she has a lot of help with her writing. Not to say that she doesn't do some of her own writing.
Yeah, but she does have help.
But she does have a lot of help. I think that the two singles that she released for the album are two really, really solid tracks. I love Thank You Next as a single. Seeing it broken down on Genius, because they kind of did a Genius deconstructed series on a video on YouTube where they kind of break down the producers break down the production of the song, made me like the album more, because what I didn't realize is how much percussion was layered under the chords that kind of drive the song. And that made me really appreciate how much time and work goes into a lot of these pop artists, because with a lot of pop artists you think, oh, they're sent these tracks. God damn it, this fucking helicopter now. Okay. I'll let the helicopter pass. With a lot of these pop albums, you think, it's just an artist. They have songs sent to them by writers. The songs pretty much come fully fledged out and they just have to put their vocals over it, and then boom, it becomes their song. That very much doesn't feel like the case with this Ariana album. I think Seven Rings, when I first heard it, I did not like it as much as when I heard it within the context of the whole album. I liked her kind of braggadociousness and her...
She was cocky.
Which is, I mean, as she kind of has the right to be.
I also think it's a good thing for, like, just women to have someone like Ariana Grande, who is now blending hip-hop, kind of the braggadocious aspect of hip-hop, into her music. And she very much stands for women empowerment. I love that. I love that she like made a song like Thank You Next, which is very much like has hints to, okay, a man can do it. A man can like go through women. Like, why can't a woman do it too? And
why is it not held to the same standard? Why is that double standard present?
Yeah.
God damn it.
We're not having great luck today with the outside sign.
We're just gonna go right through it. So
yeah, Thank You Next was really an album that I think Ariana Grande kind of has this stigma attached to her, or at least prior to like her huge publicity with Mac Miller, and like I think people thought that she was kind of just this like poppy, like no talent person, and I think she really proved herself on Sweetener and on Thank You Next.
That she has the chops, to also get to warrant the critical acclaim that she has been being given.
Yeah. So good for her.
And then the last album that we're going to be discussing is an album from a very, very new group who, until very recently, I had no idea about. I had someone text me the link to this album, and normally it's kind of the other way around, where I'm discovering people and letting people know what's going on. But it's this album called Television by 99 Neighbors. I didn't know any of the individual artists that are a part of this group. I went to their website to kind of see what was going on with them, and they're self-described on the album as on the website as, well, they say 99 Neighbors is a collective of independent artists with a common goal of natural expression, free artistry, and forward momentum, which is super vague. Like, it doesn't really mean anything specifically, but it makes sense why they would put that as their description.
Right.
The album is super eclectic in terms of its song style. There are some really gritty rap tracks. There are some more kind of angelic melodic sing songs. There's some kind of, I don't know if I would say piano ballads, but I mean, they kind of self-reference it as a piano interlude that breaks up some of the more gritty rap stuff.
Yeah.
It's a really good first album for the group, and I think they have some room to develop into their own sound. I think what this album has more than anything is it displays their potential to really carve out a lane within themselves.
How do you feel about their their obvious similarities to Brockhampton?
So when I first heard them, I'd obviously thought like, oh, this is just a Brockhampton ripoff.
I did as well, but
I think they're a little more eclectic in terms of the styles that they range. There's no girl presence on Brockhampton, which I think these guys fill nicely with some of their outside contributors. From what I saw on the website, there are 3 main vocalists, and then there's like 12 other people that contributed to the album, whether it be through, media design, production, mixing, marketing, whatever it is. I really like how, I've been using this word a lot, but how gritty a lot of the bass lines are in the album. A lot of the instrumentals kind of reminded me almost of a modern Tribe Called Quest in terms of the focus on the bars and the lower frequency range of sounds.
Right.
It's not as glitzy and glamorous as a lot of other rap groups who are kind of trying to get into the pop rap crossover are. And I think that really speaks to their desire and their attention to paying homage to the kind of foundations of rap and their appreciation and just displaying their lyrical chops, because all of them had lyrical ability and were able to kind of express themselves well on the mic.
Yeah.
I think one of my biggest critiques would be that I don't think that any one individual member stands out enough from the next.
Yeah.
And I also think that their chemistry needs to be worked on a little bit.
But that'll come with
maturity. With releasing more and more albums.
Yeah.
I think that we've become a little spoiled with Brockhampton in that sense, because their chemistry was so good right from the bat. And obviously, their first album, All American Trash, was nowhere near as good as
it was underdeveloped.
Saturation.
Still had potential that you could identify.
And still had a lot of potential that you could see. But I'm super excited to see where this group goes. They're just kind of bubbling under the surface. And, I'm thrilled to see them develop. And it's always really great to see an artist right at the beginning of their trajectory and to track them throughout that course.
Yeah.
And I think this will be a group that explodes onto the pop scene pretty soon if they have the right marketing and team behind them.
Yeah, I'm with that. I think also something to think about is like Brockhampton doesn't own the concept of like having like a giant collective.
Exactly.
While they are the first people to do it, I think it's something we'll probably see more and more of. Yeah.
All right. That is the end of the second episode of the Rap Currents podcast.
Thank you for listening.
Please let us know what you thought about any of the albums, what you thought about the Grammys, what you thought about the current events. If there's anything you want us to discuss, feel free to send it in to our email that we're going to put in the description box below.
Right.
rapcurrentspodcast@gmail.com. I am Noah Agdis.
And I'm Nate Fisher.
And thank you so much. We will see you next time.
Thanks.